All right, my friends, good to see you again. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you some what I believe are lesser known facts. I really hope I don't get myself into trouble one way or another. I could see that happening because these are a little bit juicy. Now, I'm not leading with those. That's going to be near the end of the video, so make sure you watch all the way to the end. You know, I always say at the end of my videos, be wise. If you watch them, you know. I'm not so sure that I'm actually doing that. I hope I'm not being stupid, but we'll find out. All right. I'm not sure how much I'm towing the line. What I am going to talk about first, though, which is rather innocuous, is about what America eats. I know it sounds strange. Nothing scandalous about that. However, I did find this on a page of a book that if you want to know about the book, I'll leave a link down below in the description. You can get it for yourself with a lot of really good and interesting things in it. Anyway, so here are some strange things about what America eats. The numbers might surprise you. They did me a little bit, but I don't know. Sometimes I disagree with these things. You can let me know in the comments. The first one here, and there are 13 of them. By the way, I'm making this video in my car because I was making my backyard, and a bunch of loud kids in our neighborhood came out, and yeah, well, it's just not going to happen. Anyway, 13 of these, 13, I don't know why I pulled up three fingers, 13 of these. First one, America's 4 favorite leftovers are, can you guess them? I know what I have in my refrigerator at any given time, and this is right on par. It's pasta, including lasagna, pizza, chicken, and meatloaf. Now, meatloaf I have maybe once every 10 years. So, you know, my mother used to make it a lot when we were kids. And I was like, I could take it or leave it. I don't really prefer it. I never eat it again. I'd be just fine. But I have had some meatloaf at different restaurants over the years. Not very often, of course. And it was really good. But it's never my go-to. I know some people that they absolutely love it and get it anywhere they can get it. But not me. Pasta, pizza, and chicken, those are staples of the American diet. So I do agree with that. All right, second one. What do you think America's least favorite veggie is? Now, for me, I would say squash and zucchini. I absolutely hate, I despise both of those. But that's not what this said. This says America's least favorite veggie is Brussels sprouts. Now, I can see that. They're not delectable, right? I've only had them once in which I thought they were tasty. It was at a local restaurant here in Lakeland, a little more on the fine dining spectrum. And they had, my daughter worked there at the time, and they were sauteed. And she says, you got to try these. I'm like, they were delicious. The only time I've ever had Brussels sprouts in which I actually enjoyed them. And I could eat them every day the way they were made. But what do you think? What is your least favorite veggie? All right. Top 3 most hated foods in the United States. This one surprised me a little bit, and I'll tell you why. Number 1, tofu, which I've never had. I have no idea what that tastes like. Liver, I absolutely agree with. And yogurt. That one surprised me. Really? That many people hate yogurt? I don't know if I love yogurt, but I like it. And I just don't understand why people would. I don't understand why this would be on the list of foods that people hate. Okay, next one. About a third of all ethnic restaurants in the United States are, you guessed it probably, Chinese. Yeah, I love Chinese food. This next one. About 1 million people drink cola for breakfast. That doesn't surprise me in the least. Actually, I'm surprised, well, maybe a little bit. I'm surprised that it's not higher because it's kind of normal for me. Now, I don't eat breakfast for the most part. Like I didn't eat it today. I don't eat it most days of the week. Every once in a while I will, though. Not long ago, just weeks ago, I was riding with a coworker in a different department, and he wanted to stop and get donuts. Now, I love donuts. While I don't eat breakfast normally, if someone's stopping to get donuts, I'm going to eat them because I love them. But I didn't really want orange juice because orange juice is more expensive than soft drinks are. So I got a Coke. And he looked at me like, I can't believe you're drinking soda in the morning. Or soda with donuts or soda for breakfast. I'm like, why? Is that weird? He goes, yeah, it's really weird. And then when we got together for lunch with some other guys, he told them that I got soda for lunch because he said, Can you believe he got Coke to drink with his soda, his donuts? And they're like, what? I'm going, why? Why do you guys think that's weird? Do you guys think I'm weird for drinking a Coke with my donuts? Why is that weird? I don't understand. Is it the time of the day? Because donuts aren't much different than like cake or any other pastry that you might eat any other time of the day. And why wouldn't you drink soda with it if you drink soda normally? I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway. Now, this next one says if you feed a rhesus monkey a typical American diet, it will die within 2 years. How do they know this? Did this happen? That's odd. Well, I mean, but the thing is, I don't know if they're trying to say it's so unhealthy that a rhesus monkey would die within 2 years that you shouldn't eat it, but we're not monkeys. I know some people would like to believe that we're glorified apes, but we're not. Fight me. I don't think we are. So, anyway, I don't really care about that stat. The next one, the average American eats 82 pounds of chicken a year. That's plausible. That's plausible. I mean, I don't really know where they call that information from, but it seems like it would probably be pretty easy to track. I don't know if I eat 82 pounds of chicken a year. It's just, but I do like it, and I do know some people that it seems like they eat it for almost every meal. All right, this one's really interesting. A New Yorker could eat out every night of his or her life and never eat at the same restaurant twice. Okay, that is really quite amazing. That seems pretty like it would be pretty true. Wouldn't that be a fun challenge, though, to eat, if you could afford it, which most people probably couldn't, to eat someplace different every single day? The problem with that is, what if you were committed to that, but you found one place you really liked? I mean, you're like, I could eat this every day, but you could never go back again because you're going to eat someplace different every day. All right, that's a bit of a rabbit trail. Potato chips are the biggest selling snack food in the United States and Canada. In fact, well, that doesn't really surprise me. In fact, of 100 people eating snack food, 70 of them are eating potato chips. Okay, that's cool. You know what else I like a lot for a snack is popcorn. Yeah, I grew up on it. Orville Redenbacher. I got something else to say about this next one. Americans eat 12 billion bananas a year. Probably not each American, right? 12, but collectively, obviously. So what else I have to say about this is I read something a while back that Walmart sells more bananas than any other product. And you know how much they stock. And I thought, I wonder if that's true. So when I went to my local Walmart, Super Walmart, I asked somebody there that, because I shared that fact with them. And they said, yes, we do sell more bananas than anything else. Isn't that something? Have you ever wondered how many items you can find stocked or shelved in your typical grocery store? No, I've never wondered that. But in case you have, here you go. A typical supermarket displays more than 25,000 items. Yeah. So next time you go to the store with your wife, you can pester her with this trivia, and she'll roll her eyes and tell you she doesn't care, probably. All right, last one. Only 55% of dinners served in the United States include even one homemade dish. I find this actually kind of sad. Growing up, my mother made dinner every night. Our lunches were packed. Now, our breakfast might be, cold cereal, whatever the case might be. But she made dinner every night. It was all homemade. She didn't have anything that was prefabricated. Sometimes I liked it, sometimes I didn't. I thought that was normal. And there's probably a time in our history when it was quite normal. Obviously, it's not anymore. It's acceptable that at least one of the dishes that you're eating is only one is homemade. Wow. I suppose it's one of the contributing factors to the decline in health, right? Because what do you replace it with? Probably processed foods, mostly. All right. That's all I wanted to share with you on that. Now, here's something that's a little more scandalous. This is where I got to be careful. This is why I'm waiting to get this far into the video to share this. So hopefully it doesn't get picked up somewhere. You know the story of Bambi, right? Bambi, the deer, trotting through the woods, skipping, whatever you want to call it, through the woods. When I was a kid, I loved Bambi because we had all the Disney records with the pages you turn and follow along with the story, and I loved all the songs like April Showers, and I used to have a lot of those stories memorized. But I didn't realize that Bambi was anything other than a Disney story. But it was actually a book written in 1922 by Felix Salten. Now, it was serialized in newspapers initially. And then in 1923, it was published as a book. And then it was translated into English in 1928. And then Disney adapted it into a movie in 1942. A lot of people like Bambi. It actually wrecked a lot of people, if you've watched Bambi, you know why. However, let's talk about Felix Salten, the author of Bambi. In 1906, Felix Salten, now famous as the author of Bambi, wrote a scandalous bestseller titled Josephine Mutzenbacher, the story of a Viennese whore, as told by herself. This is a work of fiction, obviously. But that's what it's called. Josephine Mutzenbacher, the story of a Viennese whore as told by herself. So I looked this up. It is I gotta watch my words here carefully because of censorship. I'll say pornographic, right? If you want to know about this book, you can Google it. But be prepared to read or see anything. Yeah, it's bad. The author of Bambi wrote that book. Victorian times were very interesting. Well, in the arena of illicit consumption, they were also extremely prudish. It's almost as if they acted like or pretended like these things didn't exist, but they were actually much more salacious behind closed doors. You might wonder where I got this information. I'll tell you. I got this from a book called Mortal Secrets. It's a good book. I'll leave a link for this down below, likewise. All right, in the description. It is about Freud, Vienna, and the discovery of the modern mind, written by Frank Tallis. Now, Sigmund Freud, was known for being very preoccupied with sex. I hate having to be careful like that, but that's the way it is. Very preoccupied with it. Although he wasn't particularly that way himself, he just had some strange theories, right? But here's something that you need to know. I thought was very interesting. And this is why I just don't know if it's a good idea to share this or not, but I'm going to. All right, so Sigmund Freud was introduced to sex by his nanny. Today, such behaviors would be regarded as abusive. But in Freud's time, attitudes were somewhat different. Acceptable and unacceptable conduct were less clearly defined. Nannies, for example, calmed children by stroking their... Yeah. Domestic employees were frequently expected to act as sex instructors. When the sons of bourgeois families reached puberty, attractive maids were hired to school them in the art of seduction. Wow. I have all sorts of thoughts about that. Be careful with sharing your thoughts about that in the comments. But what do you think? Interesting. You couldn't get away with that now. You shouldn't get away with that ever. But that's what they did. I'd never heard that before. So no wonder Freud thought the way he did. But they sound like this wasn't just a Freud household thing. This was something that they did commonly back then. Of course, he was from Vienna, you know. I'm assuming it happened a lot of other places, but wow. That's all I can say about that is, wow. I will tell you, though, the quote of the day, and I like sharing this, is by Joan Rivers. Here's what she said. Last night I asked my husband, what's your favorite sexual position? He said, next door. I thought that was pretty funny. Okay. The word of the day is scruple. Now, it's not an uncommon word, but I would assume a lot of people probably don't really know the definition of it, but it goes along well with today's content. A scruple is a point of conscience or honor. It's hesitation due to ethical considerations. Okay. So do you have any scruples? Apparently, Victorian society struggled with this. To be scrupulous is to have moral integrity, to hesitate. So anyway, yeah, scruple. What was your favorite part about today's video? I don't even know what that would tell about any one of us. But, you know, this is one of those things that's so bizarre, I felt like I had to share it. And I thought it might shed some light on maybe Freud, the man himself. What do you think? Like I said, I have a lot of weird thoughts I just shouldn't even share about that. So that's all I'm going to say. All right. I guess that's the end of this one. I'm glad you heard me all the way through. Hope you enjoyed it. Check out the rest of my videos. All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. In the meantime, be wise.